would like to ask me any questions, please put these in the chat box. It is very important that, as I said before, when we finish this session, nobody goes away wanting to know, do I put a photograph, do I not put a photograph, should I put a cover letter or not, okay? So I'm going to be sharing my screen with you now. Okay. Let me just move things over here. Okay, did anyone happen to get the missing number in the picture? No? Okay, it was actually 25, so I gave you the answer there. Right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's always nice if you can stay connected. We will be posting a load more We Select Live courses online. So if you'd like to follow us on all our social media, if you have your computer or your mobile phone, please scan the QR code so that you can keep up to date with all of our social media and follow us on our website. One small request is that you do follow us on our website. Okay, so how do we get the most out of today? First of all, if you could just put your phone on silent, and if you move your phone away from the computer, as sometimes you get feedback. It's always nice to communicate with the face. If you feel comfortable, please put your video on. Once again, though, this session is videoed and it will be placed on our YouTube channel. To get the most out of today, as we are going to be quite a big audience, I will be putting you on mute. However, if you want to ask a question, you can just unmute yourself by following the settings below. If you'd like to give me a reaction throughout today, I will be asking you, do you agree or do you disagree? Please put some reactions in the box, and here is the icon. Now, if you would like to change the viewing in the gallery, you can just change the viewing in the gallery by clicking on these icons here. Just a few things about the rules. We do want you to have an enjoyable and beneficial experience. The material is copyrighted, so please no photos or recordings. As I do say, it will be posted on the website and our YouTube channel. But please, after today's session, we would like your feedback as to whether you enjoyed the session. If you have any requests for other sessions, please do let us know, as we want to make sure that this is something that can support you in your professional development, okay? Sample cover letters will be available to download from our website after the session. Mariam, can you hear me? Is that clear enough? Can I just make sure everyone can hear me, please? Okay, thank you. Right. So our course objectives for today. I'm going to give you some context and facts about CVs. I will be also explaining some of the common mistakes made when we are writing our CVs. The reason that I've asked you to have a pen and paper available is because I want you to be able to list your hard, otherwise known as technical, and your soft skills. Now, if I have any engineers, if I have any technical people available here, this is very, very important for you to be able to sell yourself on paper. Basically, when a recruiter, a headhunter looks at your CV and you are applying for a very technical and engineering possible position, you need to make sure that you've identified your technical skills. I will be showing you some profile summary examples. And this is the other reason that I will be asking you to have the pen and paper next to you. It's because as I go through the slides, it's important that if you see some sentences, ladies and gentlemen, copy those and paste them. We will also be posting these slides on our website. Okay, Mariam, is my voice okay now? We will also be looking at essential figures to include. So there are 5 essential figures that you should include on your CV. Often when I look at people's CVs, I find that they are not really able to sell themselves as much as they should be. And this brings us to CVs that have figures and also how to use those figures. Your online presence. I will be going through a few guidelines on how to ensure your online presence is a professional and aligned online presence with your CV. Very often people have a CV, yet their online presence is something completely different. We really need to address this as well. I'll be showing you some sample templates and some CV tips from Select. So, first of all, just a few words of wisdom. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. If you think about it, your CV is the first thing a recruiter will see when you are applying for a position. So make sure it represents you well. Now, people often ask me, is it a CV or is it a resume? Well, basically, if you're from the UK, you're probably going to apply for a job with a CV. If you're from America, you will probably apply for a job using a resume. If you're Australian, you may apply with either. Basically, a CV, known as a curriculum vitae, is an in-depth document which describes the whole course of your career in full detail. A resume, which is from French language to sum up, is a short, concise document, often used for job applications in the US or Canada. So to summarize, a CV is a more in-depth document. A resume would only normally be a one page. The meaning will depend on where you are from. However, just so that there is no confusion, I will be addressing CVs on this workshop, okay? Now, I'd like to share a few facts and statistics with you to perhaps identify and put things into context, but I need your help with this. So if you could use the chat box, can you tell me whether you think these following are true or false? 57% of candidates who apply for jobs are actually qualified for the role. Do you think this is true or false? Please put it in the chat box or shout out. Okay, Gabby, false, false, true. So we've got a variety of different things.
False.
Yes, actually it's false. Based on twin employment, only 35% of applicants are actually qualified for the role, which is quite scary really, because this shows that we're just sending our CVs out like a blanket, just random. Next one, 68% of employers will find you on Facebook. True or false? What do you think? Amanda, absolutely. It is true. And this then supports why your online presence must be aligned with your CV. 23% of employers prefer to receive cover letters. True or false, ladies and gentlemen? What do you think? Okay, so we've got a load of true, false, true, false, true, false. It's actually false. According to Robert Half, 58% of employers like to receive cover letters. So ladies and gentlemen, this really reinforces the importance of you having a cover letter. We will be looking at this on the course, and as I said previously, I will be posting a downloadable document on our website where you can download some sample cover letters. Next one, half of all CVs that are more than 2 pages long are discarded. True or false? What do you think? Absolutely, it is true. So for those of you who have your CV, if your CV is more than 2 pages long, it will probably be discarded. 47% of employers say that if they cannot find a candidate online, they are less likely to call them in for an interview. True or false, ladies and gentlemen? Phil Quinn, absolutely. Yes, it is true. So this then states, you may get to a certain place in the shortlisting, so then the client may say, well, hold on a minute, let's have a look at their online presence. If you don't have any online presence, how do they know whether you're legitimate or not? Okay. And finally, on average, recruiters will spend no more than 5 to 10 minutes looking at your CV. Ladies and gentlemen, true or false? What do you think? It's actually false, ladies and gentlemen. It's 5 to 10 seconds. So this then proves the point where we really have to make sure not only is our CV well formatted, but it has the correct information that is eye-catching. Okay, so now we're starting at the very basics, and I need to address something called ATS. ATS is an applicant tracking system, and it's a software that employers use to match the entire application process. So the system works that basically a client will put in keywords, and when you submit your CV, the ATS providers such as Workday or Talio will then screen your CV. How to avoid falling into the career portal black hole? Well, instead of applying for 100 jobs with a template CV, we recommend that you perhaps select about 20 top postings and then write down thoughtful cover letters. Now let's put this into a little bit more context. If, for example, your CV writes, highly driven customer service manager with 5 years experience of customer service experience, managing teams, procedures, dealing with diverse cultures, proven experience of success, employee satisfaction, and strong communication skills. So you've got your CV summary. ATS will read customer service manager, managing teams, procedures, diverse cultures, employee satisfaction, communication skills. Bingo. It will then match it to their list of requirements. However, if they are also asking for analytical skills or Microsoft Office, the ATS will not pick this up. This then shows you every job posting, if it is using ATS, they have identified keywords that will be required for you to be shortlisted. If you are sending out a random blanket CV, you will not get past the first point because the ATS will not pick up your CV. So ladies and gentlemen, you need to remember how to align this, and I have some tips that can help you with this too. So a majority of hiring managers, 61%, consider a customized CV the #1 tactic for applicants trying to boost their chance of getting a job. Others include attaching a cover letter that is tailored to the posting, addressing the letter to the hiring manager or recruiter by name. Now, I've got some other facts and statistics that will also support the importance of actually doing a little bit of research and finding out what is the hiring manager's name. Linking the applicant's online profile to a blog or a website. Now, we've all been trying to look for jobs, updating our CVs, etc. Some of us may have not had to update our CV for maybe up to 5 to 15 years, depending on how long we've been in a specific position. But I often come across common CV mistakes, and I'd like to ask you just for 5 or 6 common mistakes you sometimes find or have experienced when you have either received a CV or seen someone's CV. Could anyone give me a couple of mistakes that they have experienced or seen when they have looked at CVs? Put it in the chat box or feel free to shout out. Spelling, thank you. Lengthy job description, okay. It's outdated, absolutely. Grammatical errors. Not custom made. Okay, so you see, there are just a few of these mistakes that people often make. Here are some other mistakes that if your CV has these, it's likely to be dismissed. 58%, according to Career Builder, if your CV contains typos or mistakes, 58% will dismiss your CV. 36%, if it's too generic, not personalized to the position. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's amazing how many CVs I see where people have not listed their skill sets. 35% will dismiss your CV if it's not containing a list of skill sets. Another mistake I see a lot of people making is they take that job posting, they copy and paste it into their CV. If it has an inappropriate email address, if it does not include exact dates of employment. In addition to that, if there are large gaps, so let's say you left your previous company in 2008 and then you started something else in 2012. What were you doing for those 4 years? if it's printed on decorative paper, or if it includes an unprofessional photo. So ladies and gentlemen, they don't want to see typos, punctuation, grammatical, if the tone is too informal, lots of jargon, cliches, more than 2 pages, snazzy background, writing in the third person. Now I will explain this in a little bit detail later on. If you've got clip art and emojis, cringeworthy quotes, unprofessional email address, and if the font is too difficult to read. So, another thing, please, ladies and gentlemen, don't lie. 85% of HR professionals, according to HireRight, have found candidates lying on their CV. They will find out, especially if you are going to be including references. Now, I did discuss a little bit about hard and soft skills. On any job description, it can contain an average of 21.8 skills. Yet CVs, according to Live Career, contain on average 13. So this shows that there's a large gap in between the skills stated on the job description compared to the skills stated on your CV. In addition to that, CVs fall short to roughly the same degree on both hard and soft skills. So only 59% of CVs match the hard skills, and 62% of those are matching the soft skills. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, we really do need to make sure we are identifying those. Plus also 75% of companies are using ATS. So if you haven't identified your hard and soft skills, you're not going to be picked up with the ATS. If you're an engineer, could I please ask you to make a note of some of these skills? These are hard skills and soft skills. So if you can see soft skills such as creativity, problem solving, teamwork and collaboration, listening, communication, critical thinking. If you're a project manager, ideally budgeting, business strategy, maths, Microsoft Office, project management software, programming, soft skills, contract negotiation, contract resolution, adaptability. Now, this is our first activity, and one of the reasons I asked you to have a pen and paper next to you. Can I please ask you to draw a column on a piece of paper and label that column hard skills? Can you then please draw another column and label that soft skills? So you have 2 columns. One is hard skills and one is soft skills. I'd like you to write down 7 to 10 of each. Now I will bring up those slides that I showed you previously so you can get an idea. Once you have done that, let's just write down the hard and soft skills. So here we are. Here are some examples. If you're an engineer, can you write down some hard and soft skills, please? Okay. If you are an engineer. If you're a project manager. Now, if you're a trainer, your hard skills would be Microsoft Office. It may be design because you're designing things. IT, all aspects of IT. Budgeting, because obviously you're having to allocate a budget. Now, once you've done that, next to each one, could you please write A for advanced, I for intermediate, B for beginner. So if you feel that this is an advanced skill for yourself, i.e. you have a lot of experience, working experience and a bit of theory, write A next to it. If you have knowledge and some working experience, can you write I? And if you are a beginner with limited, could you please write B? I'm just going to give you a few minutes to do this.
Sorry, can you just go back to your list of skills, please?
Absolutely. So here is the engineer. And here is the project manager, okay? So I'm going to go back again. Now, ideally, you need to list these in order of priority. So if you're listing them in order of priority, you would put down the ones that you feel you are very advanced in as A, first, then the ones that you feel intermediate, second, and then the last ones, beginner. Now, if you have finance, if you're in a finance role, you would have budgeting, cost control, you would know how to do spreadsheets. MS Excel should be very important for you. Attention to detail. Can anyone think of any other soft skills or hard skills somebody in finance would need? I would say financial acumen, and I would actually break that down. So I've got a question from Mariam who's asked me, what about finance? If I go back here, absolutely, negotiation, critical thinking, problem solving, planning, accounting, obviously math, budgeting. I would say, you know, depending on what role in finance, project management. Okay. So ideally, we should have now been able to identify our skills. And ladies and gentlemen, if you take you back and remind you, how many people are not putting enough skills on their CV? 21.8 average job description, right? 21.8 skills on the average job description. Yet, only 56% are able to achieve those. So please, please, please remember the skills are very, very important. A lot of people say to me, but I just can't write down skills. Well, if you write down those skills, anybody looking at your work experience would then be able to put context around those skills. So for example, if you put negotiation and in your roles, you've never negotiated anything, an employer will ask, well, hold on, why they put negotiation if they've never actually been able to negotiate anything? So now we look at what do we put in a CV. A good CV should stand out from the crowd. It should draw attention to relevant skills and experience. It should create an impression on the employer that they will not be able to turn you down for an interview. Now let's imagine you've got through the shortlist from ATS. This is where a potential employer will really start to critique your CV. So what goes in a CV? Your full name. Now, I have quite a few Emirati clients who ask me, Natalie, do I have to put Salem, Ahmed, Mohammed, Ali, Salem? I say no, just put your name and your father's name and your family name. That's enough. Because ultimately, in this part of the world, they will be able to know who you are according to your father, okay? Permanent email and permanent mailing address. Now, obviously, if you're in the UAE, please, please, please do not put your work PO box. If you are outside of the UAE, ultimately, we have an address, a physical address, 34 Stratton Avenue. Our post comes to that. But in the UAE, we have PO boxes. So if you have your own personal PO box, put that down. Ultimately, please do not put a PO box, because if you put a PO box and it is the work PO box, any kind of documentation may be sent to that. Please put the email address, your personal email address, not your work email address, and one that does not expire. When I mean expire, you start to change it, you change accounts, your account expires, etc. Phone numbers, and please put the international dialing code for your phone number, and please, ladies and gentlemen, correct, and correct again. The number of times I have called potential employees and I've not been able to get hold of them because they put the wrong mobile number down. They put 056 rather than 050. You always start with your contact information. You need to include any publications and presentations. However, please, ladies and gentlemen, these should be dated. Extracurricular volunteer experience, certifications and licensure. Now, if you're working in the airline industry, certain certifications expire after a certain amount of time. Please make sure that any certifications that you put have not expired. This is very, very important. Professional affiliations, professional activities, if you've conducted any research, and this was something that's come up as well. Some people say to me, Nancy, do I put research that I did inside my company? I say, well, yes, of course. However, you should always request permission, document this permission, if you want to also put this on your CV and also mention this in any kind of interviews. Added qualifications, education, honor, and awards. Now, please, if you notice I've asked you to date a lot of these, it must be dated because it adds context, and this is one of the numbers and the figures we need to include. Are there any questions with regards to this? Okay. Now, the famous glamour shot. This is often a question I'm asked. Do I put a photo? Do I not put a photo? I don't want to put my name. I don't want to put my face on my CV, etc. Well, look, I'd like to first ask you, if you are going to be putting a photograph, which of these would you consider to be appropriate? A, B, C, D, E, F. Which do you think is appropriate? Put it in the chat box or shout out. Absolutely. B is appropriate. F is appropriate. Yes. I would say B and F. Okay. The others, while they look nice, would not really give the impression that you maybe want to on a CV. D is a little bit too dark, okay? Now, something else with your photograph, if you have a photograph on a CV, please make sure it happens to be the same photograph of your online presence. If, for example, you have a professional CV photo, and on LinkedIn, you have something completely different, which does not really align with the corporate identity of what you are trying to say, it may turn employers away, okay? So, some interesting information. If you are applying for jobs in the UK, Ireland, US, and Canada, advice according to Novo Resume is do not put a photo. If you are applying to Austria, Belgium, Germany, France, Portugal, Spain, etc., include a photo. Okay? Guidelines when using photos. Please wear formal business attire, have a professional photo taken, and it's good because you will be able to use this time and time again. However, please note, ladies and gentlemen, a photo taken 15 years ago may not be appropriate to use, okay? I would always say update your photo on a yearly basis. Make sure the photo on your CV is the same as on all social media. Do not use a selfie image while taken on holiday, and please Don't focus on everything but what you want the reader to see. For example, low-cut tops, colorful clothing, etc., and do not stretch your photo. Try to keep it the same as passport photo. So the 5 Ps. Your CV should be painless to read. It should be perfect, proofread, no longer than 2 pages on A4 paper, and it should be aligned to the position you are applying for. Now, once again, I will request you to all have a piece of paper and a pen next to you, because I'm now going to go through the difference between objectives, profiles, and summaries. And also I'm going to be showing you some sample profiles and summaries. First of all, I think it's important that we explain what the difference is. For objectives, they are brief but specific statements outlining the type of employment or exact position you are seeking for. If it is a profile or a summary, it details strengths, experiences, interests, and skills that somebody can offer for an employer. Now, as we go through the next few slides, please make a note of any sentences that stand out for you, which you feel would be suitable for your CV. I have no problem in you taking some sentences, etc. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to at least be able to build your CV. Now, before I do this, I need to explain which person do you use when you are writing your CV. The first person is the I, the second person is the you, and the third person is the she, it, they. Your CV should be written in the third person, but not using profiles. So let's now put this to the test and see, which person do you prefer? The first person, the third, or the third? I managed a warehouse of 20,000 plus items. He managed a warehouse of 20 plus thousand items, managed a warehouse of 20,000 plus items. Ladies and gentlemen, we should be choosing C, okay? That is the most appropriate and professional one. Over the past 3 weeks, I have received over 1,500 CVs that have all said, I do this, I do this, I do this. Please do not write your CV in the first person. So, to put it into context, I've got a sample for you. I'm a highly dependable engineer with 5 years experience in the airline industry. I'm self-driven and motivated with a track record of success across all areas of aviation maintenance with innovative ideas and applications. I am currently looking for a challenging role to continue to utilize my skill. Written in the first person. Natalie is in the third person, and this is the third person here. So if you notice, ladies and gentlemen, all I'm doing, I am actually just changing the person for which the profile is written in. So please, this example number 3 is the best example to use. Highly dependable engineer with 5 years experience in the airline industry. Self-driven and motivated with a track record of success across all areas of aviation maintenance with innovative ideas and applications. Currently looking for a challenging role to continue to utilize skills. Now, if you notice, in your skills, you should have self-motivation, self-driven, innovation, creativity, at least, because it all then is aligned to your skills. Now, which one would you say is better, sample A or sample B, ladies and gentlemen? I will let you read these. Absolutely, it's A. Okay, the next one. A or B? Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I would just ask you, please, can we be very careful about putting all types of stuff? Please see my CV for more information. Here's another one. Now, this, ladies and gentlemen, is an example. I will give you a few minutes to read it. Please, can you start taking some sentences from this profile? So I'm going to go to the next profile. Remember, these slides will be available on the internet, okay? I will be making sure these are available. And if you notice, I've also highlighted the skills, which are very, very important. Once again, these should be aligned with your skills as well. Here is another one. Here's another one. So if you notice on this one, it says now looking for a similar management position that offers career consolidation and progression in the United Arab Emirates. So if you want to stay in the particular area where you are, I do recommend you maybe state that in your profile. There's nothing wrong with it. Here's another profile. Okay, and the final one. And if you notice, they started to say, I am now looking for a position, which is fine. You're not using the whole first person throughout. So ladies and gentlemen, what did you think about the profiles and what really stood out for you while you were reading them? First of all, can I ask you, do you see now the importance of also putting your skills now into context in your profile summary? Does that make sense? And does anyone have any questions that they'd like to ask me?
Hi, Natalie. Sorry. I see the importance of your opening statement as a way to catch somebody's eye. But I think your first or second slide was on about a visionary leader.
Yes.
I've got to say, if I read that, I would be sort of like thinking, oh yeah, like how much can you big up yourself? And that would go straight in the probably shredder. Okay.
You know, first of all, thank you for that question. So your question is that appropriate to use?
Yeah, it's striking the balance. I know you've got to catch somebody's eye,
yeah,
but to me, if I think of a visionary leader, they're like, I don't know, the needle in the haystack sort of person.
Okay, so what if you're applying for a C-level position or a VP position? Would that be appropriate?
I would still say it, well, this is just my opinion, obviously, but a visionary leader, you'd be looking at somebody who is, in sort of my understanding of it, I'm not going to say Trump, but somebody who is like sort of certainly
recorded. Yes, very good. Yeah.
No, somebody who is stand out, like the person of their generation.
Yes. So this was actually a profile I developed for one of my clients who is actually going for a vice chairman position. Okay. Very young Emirati gentleman who was about 43 years old, and he was exceptional, hands down. Very good in all kinds of operational environments, very strategic, and he had that autocratic and democratic style merged very well. Now, I've also played with this kind of profile, and I've also said, taken away a visionary leader, and it's just gone straight into it.
أنا أحمد محمد هاشم رقموزي أقسم بالله العظيم.
That's the other option you have. Does that make sense? So you don't necessarily have to, these are just examples, but I do see if you get a visionary leader, it kind of raises your expectations, and you're going to expect to see somebody that can really be exceptionally visionary, but also leading an organization. If we look at this one, it's you could also have a dynamic and versatile manager, leader. And the beauty of these, and this is what I'm trying to hopefully support you with, is that you can play with all of these words: an innovative and dynamic manager, team player. All of these can actually be changed, but remember, if you are putting a visionary leader and you get called for an interview and you are boring, you've got nothing to say, you've got no charisma, then ultimately there's a complete mismatch between your profile and who you really are. So to a certain degree, you also have to remember, if an employer reads this and you've been shortlisted to come in for an interview, you had better be able to walk the walk and talk the talk with whatever is written on your CV. Because time and time again, I have shortlisted for my C-level clients, and we've come down to 5 people, and their profile summary is very good. When we meet them for that initial interview, it's like the CV says one person, and seeing the other person in front of them is a completely different person. So be careful what you write, and I do support what you said, Phil, that it is very flaky, you know, visionary, etc. But write it if you can walk the walk and talk the talk, because ultimately that's the first impression an employer is going to receive about you. Okay. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? I'm happy to answer anything that you feel that you'd like to ask, please. Okay. So we now come to areas of expertise. So areas of expertise are the areas where you feel you are able to excel in. So we've got your skill set, okay? Your skill set is there. Now, if you remember, I asked you to put advanced, intermediate, and basic. We now would consider your advanced to be an area of expertise. Now, I'm not wanting you to repeat what you've just put, but if you notice, these are some of the areas of expertise that provide context for the skills. Has a natural drive with a loyal, strong, and proactive work ethic, capable of working alone and under own initiative with strict and specific timescales. So you could also then develop your areas of expertise. So you start with your skills, you have your summary and your areas of expertise. All of these should try to give any employer an understanding of your competencies. And not only that, but also be able to read and see, okay, they excel in this, they need a little bit of help in this, they have no experience in this. Bearing in mind, what we are trying to do as well is ensure the ATS, the applicant tracking system, can pick up enough words. And these are kind of like the buzzwords. If anyone knows SEO, search engine optimization, it's roughly the same thing. We're trying to make sure that your CV is populated realistically and honestly with the skill sets that you have, okay? So if you can please now make a list of 3 to 5 areas of expertise you feel are relevant to your position. So for example, somebody earlier on asked me about finance. In finance, you would have to negotiate, you would have to be planning budgets. So in your particular industry, an area of expertise would be able to work under pressure and still maintain exceptional attention to detail. So you're kind of putting context around your skill set. Does that make sense to everyone? And does anyone have any questions? I would like you now to put down 3 to 5 areas of expertise, please. 3 to 5 areas of expertise that are specifically relevant to your position. I'm here if anyone has any questions or if they want to run anything by me, please feel free to ask. Okay, so competencies, a competency skill set. So ideally, when we are developing more skill sets, more competencies, and I'm still on giving you different options as to how you want to relate these in your CV. Here you can also put in developing your skill set, how they are in context. Excellent command of both oral and written English, but ladies and gentlemen, if you are putting an excellent command of both oral and written English, and you've got spelling mistakes on your CV, it's not too good. But also, if you are used to writing reports, if you're used to writing monthly reports, summaries, technical reports, please state this. State that this is a competency skill set that you have, because it gives the employer more background information. Okay? I do not want you to do a copy and paste. What I'm after is making sure that you are coming across as a well-rounded person, but also making those specific skill sets known to the employer on your CV. Okay? So now we're going to come to the 5 essential figures. Okay, now if you have your CV next to you and you've got a pen and paper, we're going to be doing quite a bit of work with this. All right? There are 5 essential figures every CV should try to make sure it has. Finance, location, time, size, and percentage. I'm going to be addressing each of these in detail, and I will also be giving you some examples. So, number 1, I'd like you to read person A and person B. Who would you hire, or perhaps ask for an interview or ask for more detail? A or B? Thank you, Amanda. Right, B, right? Why? you've actually got something that puts your CV into context. Here's another one. A, absolutely. As you said, it's quantifiable. It's actually giving that employer information and context. Here's another one. A or B? B, because you're putting a figure. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, if we just look at this person, A and B, and this is just about chairing meetings. But if you notice, responsible for chairing Women's Leadership Mentoring Committee compared to chair promotional committee of 12, it gives more context to it. So when we're talking about finance, ladies and gentlemen, budget, costs, and revenue, you need to be able to put context into your CV and your experience under each of your positions. So this is what I'd like you to do. Budget, cost, revenue. Consider these three. Write some ideas that come to mind relating to budget, costs, and revenue. Here are some examples. I will give you 1 minute to perhaps write down a few things. And please, ladies and gentlemen, even if it was 20 years ago, even if it was 5 years ago, the fact that you're writing this shows that you have experience. I'm here if anyone has any questions. Okay, so let's move on to the next figures, which is locations. So locations is where we look at countries and something simple as stores or offices. Look, when you managed 4 regional offices, it shows the employer, wow, okay, so they are able to manage, prioritize, deal with challenges. They're not afraid to travel or anything like that, okay? So here, can you tell me what countries have you worked in? Have you worked in different locations managing stores or offices? For example, oversaw the MENA region with a total of 42 stores. Even if you have had to deal with different clients in different countries, you've managed aircrafts coming from X, Y, and Z, anything like that, how many people did you manage? So now we come to time. So we have project duration, time-saving initiatives, or task completion. For example, led a 2-year transformation project, introduced new process saving staff members 2 hours per day. Task completion delivered the project 3 months ahead of schedule. Can you think about project duration, time saving, task completion? Here are some examples. If anyone's a lawyer here, generated an average of 110 billable hours each month over the first 6 months of the year. Suggested procedures that decreased average order processing time from 10 minutes to 5 minutes. Remember, these can be done in a variety of different ways. It could be a percentage, it could be a time. And it's only when we really do start thinking about how have we written specific things in our CVs, have we done them enough justice? The next one is size. Project value, customer base, or team size. So for example, have you worked on projects with a specific value? Managed a specific number of employees? What size team did you manage? So here you've got coached, mentored, and led a team of 17 direct reports. So I'm just going to give you 1 minute to think about how you could actually add this to your CV. Okay, and then we've got percentages. So percentage of target, percentage of service provision, or percentage of cost saved. Achieved 100% of annual target in year 1, resolved 95% of queries within 1 week time frame. Percentage of reduced department spending by 10%. But not only that, ladies and gentlemen, if you think about your day-to-day work, what were you doing that really helped to save the company perhaps money? Did you achieve targets within a specific, your KPIs, your objectives? Think about these figures that should be in the CV, because as I showed you the examples before, you need to try to work out how can these be presented on your CV. Okay. Do I have any questions so far? Is everybody okay with me? Everyone following? And if anyone wants to put any examples in the chat box for my feedback, I'd be happy to give you feedback and perhaps see if anyone else can maybe amend it, tailor it, improve it, etc. Okay, so if you do, let me know. I'm just going to go on to experience now. Now, when we are listing our experience should be listed chronologically, which means the most recent now. Yes, I will be sharing this presentation at the end, and this video will be posted on YouTube, okay? So you need to list your experience chronologically, starting with the most recent first. You need to use action words. So action words are basically verbs, developed, designed, managed, led, instigated, initiated, all of these buzzwords. Something you need to consider about using the verbs. If you are in a job now and on the CV it says present, it means you are doing it. So you will develop, initiate. If it is a job that you did before, it is the past, initiated, developed, managed. The number of times I see CVs which are not in the correct tense. You need to make sure the CV that you are using and the experiences that you're putting is related to when you did that position. Practices, organizations, put it in bold. So for example, the organization you work with, put it in bold. But also, please, ladies and gentlemen, if you've worked for one organization for 15 years, you put that organization at the top, and then you put your roles underneath the organization. You don't need to repeat the organization for every role. So you would say you worked in this organization from 26 to 2020. Now, from 2018 to present, you were this role. From 2014 to 2018, you were this role. It has to have the date. Then the employer can actually see how you have progressed in your career. Ultimately though, please, ladies and gentlemen, do not copy and paste what you did before onto the next role, onto the next role, onto the next role. There should be a natural progression with this. Also, please state where it was. So remember, we go to the figures. If you worked for a company, but you were based in Munich, or you were based in India or Sri Lanka, you were still in that company, but the location was different. Okay, so if you worked in 4 different locations, that needs to be elaborated more. What were those locations? And as I said, you need to include dates. Okay, now if we look at the achievements, so here I've given you some examples: budgeted effectively, saving, etc., etc. Okay. Developed a database, management program, leading the team and meeting all project deadlines. Okay, so you see some figures, right? Here's another example. So ladies and gentlemen, what do you notice? You've got this example based compared to this example. This example doesn't give you any delivered reports on time. Well, that's great. Well done. Managed projects really well. Well, how well is really well? Exactly, Chris. The bad examples are really vague. Here's another example. And please, ladies and gentlemen, if you see any of these sentences, copy them. It could be useful for your CV. Now remember, these would have been in the past because you did them. Here's another example. And you know, these are real life examples that I have seen on CVs. Let people save money for the company. Well, great, 1 dirham is saving money from the company. How much is saving money for the company? So, do we all understand now the importance of adding figures, making sure the CV is aligned to the job position? But I'd also like to look at the presentation of the CV. So just a few things. Remember, it's a visual presentation, so it is so important. Needs to be A4. You do not double-side it if you are sending it. Keep it to 2 sides. Check your spelling. Now, just for something regarding spelling, can I please ask you, which spelling do you use? Do you use American spelling or British spelling? I'm not asking which is better, I'm just asking which one you use. British, British, English, British, your own country. Phil, and what is your own country? So, all I'm saying is British spelling is not better than American spelling, but we must only use one. So if you start with spelling using the British way, that is the only way you spell in your CV. If you are doing it using an American spelling, that is the only way that you spell in your CV, which is also spelling, vocabulary, and even the grammar is different. So please, when we talk about spelling, make sure you use one system. Use bold and bullet points in moderation. The formatting should be consistent. Size 10 to 12 font, depending on the style. It should be Arial or Calibri, focus on accomplishments, targeted to this job or company, should be concise, and you always consider your audience, okay? So let's just think about the audience now. What does the audience expect? I've got 4 stakeholders. Would you expect all 4 of these stakeholders to have the same expectations when they read your CV? Yes or no? No, absolutely. So if we're looking at a recruitment firm, a recruiter or a headhunter, what are they looking for, do you think? What are they interested in? Please feel free to shout out if you want. Does anyone know the difference? What would a headhunter be looking for? Absolutely, Chris. Skills. So you've got to remember, a recruitment firm has been given a job description. And they have to know in that job description whether your CV and your online presence matches. But a very important other thing, a recruiter will find you online. An interviewer will be knowing you when they see your CV in front of them. So this then goes back to your online presence. HR screening your CV compared to the potential manager. What is the potential manager looking at now? They received your CV. What are they looking for, do you think? Feel free to shout out in the chat box. Absolutely. Relationship with the candidate, skill compatibility. If we take it a step further, the fit, your cultural fit, your personality fit inside the department. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're coming from a very technical background, you're very black and white. It's very technical. You need to be a person. You need to come out as being a person. And a lot of technical CVs that I've read and I've prepared for clients of mine who work in the airline industry have been the CVs loaded with qualifications, loads of figures, data, numbers, etc. But I don't actually see a person. I see a lot of data, but I don't see that person. The same with IT and the same with finance. Ultimately, yes, you need to get through the applicant tracking system, the ATS, but when it gets to the potential manager and your CV is shortlisted, how do you compare with somebody else? Why should they interview you and not somebody else? Remember, we're not talking about the interview, we're still talking about that CV. So your CV, maybe they're going to look at the hobbies, maybe they're going to look at whether you've done any research, maybe they're going to see, did you chair a committee? All of these help, yes, your social skills, these are absolutely, they help to put you as a person rather than your skills, your qualifications, absolutely. For some positions, it's a tick box when it comes to your qualifications. It's a tick box when it comes to your licensing. That's fine. But then you, along with 50 other people, have got the same. Why should they look at you and not somebody else? That's when it comes to the additional information on your CV. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, we always need to consider, you have a headhunter, you have the interviewer, HR screening your CV, and the potential manager. All 4 of these stakeholders have a different requirement. Remember, this is after they've got the tick box exercise finished. Now, does anyone have any questions up until now? Because I'm now going to go into the cover letters. Has anyone got any questions? Can I see a thumbs up, please? Just so that I know you're all alive and you're still with me. Yes, okay, great. Thank you very much. I feel so much better when I see a thumbs up. Okay, right. Now, with cover letters, remember a lot of managers. Yes.
Hi, sorry to interrupt. I just had a question about the CV gap you mentioned.
Yes.
I have a maternity gap that has stretched for longer than usual. So how should I address that in my CV without it being a cause of possible bias by any recruiter anywhere?
Okay, so let me understand your question. You had a maternity gap and
Maternity gap, yes.
maternity leave, right? You had children, yeah? So, and so ultimately, you wouldn't necessarily put that in your CV, but you need to be able to justify it if they did ask. Now, when I do screening of CVs, we look at your skills, competencies, and if you take, so how long gap have you taken?
It's been 3 years.
Okay, so if it's 3 years, that's understandable. You stop to have children, okay? An employer may ask you if that is if you just had children and you're going back into the workplace immediately, an employer may say, okay, so what have you been doing to keep your skills updated? What have you been doing to upskill yourself while you've been on maternity? But that would ultimately be in the interview. You shouldn't be penalized if you show that gap and you can justify it. Okay? Some of my clients, I have actually advised them to put down in the personal data at the bottom, 2 children. Because then obviously they will put 2 and 2 together and say, ah, okay, she has children. However, I do understand what you're saying. Sometimes this can be held against you being a woman. But I would state that you have 2 children, just to overcome that. There's nothing wrong with that.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I've got another question. Somebody wanting to progress to a higher role, but they've been asked how many direct reports they managed. This is important. So what I would do, if I was applying for a role that is higher to the current position, I didn't have any people reporting to me directly. I had indirect reports. I would put that in the CV. So remember, we go back to the figures, right? Managed a team of 5 people reporting indirectly. Okay? And put multidisciplinary teams, absolutely. When we come to the summary, no, you do not align the summary to the company's vision or mission. Your summary is your summary, not the company's summary. It takes 40 seconds or longer to find another job. Okay, so another question. Somebody's been made redundant due to COVID. It takes 4 to 6 months or even longer to find another job. Okay, so if you're talking about a gap in the CV, you would put in the summary, currently looking for a role in X, Y, and Z. Your last position would have been 6 months ago, so let's just say it was January. Since then, in your skills, so, and this is the lady that asked about maternity. If you have that section where you have experience, professional qualifications, professional work experience, etc. Have you done any online courses? Have you attended any online courses that can show to a potential employer that you also took the time to attend courses whilst you were looking for a job? That shows initiative. So it doesn't say that you just kind of made redundant and you sat back, or you just had children and that was it. Maybe you supported the school, maybe you did something else under hobbies or anything like that. It just gives that person the idea that you weren't sitting there doing nothing. If you were made redundant and your last day of service is October this year, then you would put in the job, you would put, let's say, training manager 2008? Are you talking about the last day of service will be in October or was in October? Can I just ask you for clarification of that? Will be, okay. So then you have a job up until October, right? So it's present. It's present. However, if you know that your visa is up until October, but your job finished, you say the last month that you are working. When it comes to the visa, that's another issue that you talk about that separately. Do you put positions that last for less than 2 months in order not to show gaps? Okay, I would put jobs. However, it depends what they were and when they were. If they were when you were at university, not so much. However, if that was a specific job and there's a large gap, I would still put that there. And then in the interview, they may ask you, why were you swapping, etc. Ultimately, I've had people say, look for a new challenge. So in the CV, it's actually showing that as well, okay? You are sometimes, if we say damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. If you don't say that you were doing stuff over a specific period, people think you don't do anything. If you say you were doing various little small jobs, it looks like you were job hopping. But if you can show in your CV that you've at least sustained a longer period, then that is fine. That comes across as fine, okay? Now, when it comes to a cover letter, please, 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 you need to have a cover letter. From half a page to a full page, normally 250 to 400 words, 3 to 6 paragraphs. There are 6 tips that I'm going to be sharing with you. They should be concise and to the point. Only relevant experience is included. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are sending your CV to everybody and their grandmother and you don't get any responses, don't be surprised because you haven't aligned your CV or the cover letter to the position being advertised. You need to consider experience level and what metrics to use. When we talk about metrics, we go back to the 5 figures. Use keywords from the job description or the job ad. So what advertising information did they give you? You can also use that. Have sections to address different aspects and the formatting. Arial, Times, Roman, clear. 10 to 12, you left, justify it, and you have space between each paragraph. Now, can anyone tell me when they are sending a cover letter, do you attach it or do you enclose it if you are sending this as part of your CV via email? Do you attach it or do you enclose it? Okay, let me explain the difference between attach and enclose. Attach is when you attach to the email. Enclose is a physical letter that you've enclosed and you've sent via letter post. So please, ladies and gentlemen, when you are sending a cover letter, the cover letter could be the body of the email. If you're applying, or it may ask you to submit it to a specific portal. In the cover letter, you would say, I have attached my CV, because it's attaching via an email. It's not an enclosure, okay? So what do we include? You need to include a salutation or a greeting that should be professional and by the hiring manager's name. Attention-grabbing opening paragraph that introduces yourself. At least 2 paragraphs describing relevant professional experience. A closing with a call to action. What do you want? Do you want to be entitled to, do you want to be invited to an interview? What do you want to happen? Maybe you would just like, please, can you give me feedback as to whether my application has been successful or not? Okay. As I said, the difference between an attachment and an enclosure. So the first paragraph, please, dear hiring manager is okay, but it also gives the impression that you may just be sending out your CV randomly, okay? State where you found the job posting. Quite a few managers appreciate this because then it shows them which online postal network, etc., is successful and is bringing in candidates. And you highlight the relevant experience. So this is also very important, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm going to be sharing a very quick document with you that will be available for you to download. This is a document I've put together. If you are applying for an administrative assistant, an analyst, customer service manager, engineer, IT specialist, HR coordinator. Here are some sample cover letters that will be available for you to download from our website, okay? I just think that if you are going back to writing CVs and you haven't been writing CVs for a very long time, it may be useful for you to have as much information that you can gather as possible. Now, I talked about your online presence. Ladies and gentlemen, when researching candidates, employers, 58% of the information that supports their qualification for the job only. According to Career Builder, they have found only 58% of the information supports the qualifications. 34% look at what other people are posting about the candidate. 22% find a reason not to hire the candidate, and 50% will look for whether that candidate has a professional online persona. Now, can I just have a raise of hands? How many of you have a LinkedIn profile? Can I have a raise of hands? Thank you. Now, your LinkedIn profile. Have you asked for recommendations from anyone? Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, if you ask for recommendations from people, this is very, very good. Do you know how to ask recommendations from people? Does everybody know how to do this? Okay. So when you are asking for recommendations from people, you need to make sure that ultimately these people are in your network, but they also, I'm just going to bring up, okay. So I'm going to show you some recommendations that I have been requesting from some of my clients. Okay. If you look here, here are my recommendations. And if you notice, it's July the 4th. Okay. I've got an entrepreneur. I've got head of technical training, Etihad Airways, Sephora. So please, ladies and gentlemen, you need to ask for recommendations. Okay? You never know, I might be asking you for some recommendations after this. Recommendations help, once again, to put your profile and your CV into context. So when you ask for a recommendation online, remember, recruiters are wanting to know, well, what did other people ask about them? So in your line of work, maybe your direct manager, maybe your VP, ask them, look, would you mind writing me a recommendation? Maybe you worked with a colleague before. What does that colleague have to say about you? Just bearing in mind, you can't remove recommendations. So be careful. If you're going to ask somebody for a recommendation, try to make sure they're going to write you a nice recommendation. That helps, okay? Please, ladies and gentlemen, be careful about the following content. posting provocative or inappropriate photographs. This is according to Career Builder. Lying about qualifications, being linked to criminal behavior. Okay? Please make sure that you check your online presence. Believe it or not, 25% of job candidates badmouth their previous company or fellow employee. Sharing confidential information from previous employers. If you're posting too frequently, well, I'm not sure about that one. So how do we make sure that our content leads to a hire? Well, your background information with your online presence is supporting the professional qualification. So you don't say you went to this university on your CV, but there's no mention of it on your LinkedIn profile. Okay? If your communication skills, once again, spelling mistakes, grammar, incorrect spellings on your LinkedIn profile, ladies and gentlemen. If you've interacted, so if you are applying for a job with a particular organization and it shows that you've actually interacted and you are following that organization, that gives you brownie points. Okay? And look, other people posted great references about the job candidate. Make sure that they are professional, and not only that, sometimes before they actually post it, you get a message from LinkedIn which says, you've received this recommendation. If you're happy with the recommendation, you post it. So make sure you want to know what you want that person to recommend you for. Is it working as a team? Is it, how did you feel that I managed you? The lady that asked about the indirect reports, perhaps ask them to post a recommendation for you. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about this? If anyone wants to know any more information, please let me know. Okay, so we're now coming to the sample CVs. So I'm going to be showing you some sample CVs and I'm going to go through them very quickly. Please note, these are not ATS friendly. These are not applicant tracking friendly. Okay? But what I'd like you to do is have a closer look at these CVs. These are very ATS friendly. However, notice, and I just got these off the internet, ladies and gentlemen. Please notice there's no email address. The dates are underneath here. The dates, ladies and gentlemen, should be to the right. So you always put dates here. Present tense, okay? Arranging, arranging, arranging. This formatting, it should have gone there. For 5 to 20% travel, well, travel to where? Where did this person travel to? Okay. References. And please, something about references. If you are asking somebody for a reference to put here, make sure you have their permission. And ideally, have a professional one and a personal one. Here's another CV, no email address, the tense. Again, no dates. Ladies and gentlemen, a common one is I don't see people writing dates. Okay? And there's actually no summary at all. This gentleman completely forgot contact details. And this is difficult to read. It's an unclear format. The tense is, it's now, but he oversaw, doesn't he oversee preparation? Once again here, and the font, it looks difficult to read, plus also incorrect placement here for the skills. Nice skills, but they're all incorrectly placed. Once again, incomplete details. Okay, the tense is all the past. There's no flow. So this should ideally be here. No dates. Now, here are some templates that are my favorite templates. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, these templates are available online, okay? I like this template. If you notice, areas of expertise, core competencies. Sorry, Phil, there's visionary. Okay, work experience, work history, responsibilities, behavioral competencies, training, seminars attended, we just don't have the dates. Education, additional roles and responsibilities. Okay, we need to add the references, but ultimately that would be there. If you can speak another language, that is very important as well to add. Here's another one. Okay. And I like these icons. I really do like the icons that are there. Here's another one. I'm just not sure whether this would be ATS compliant. So you've actually saved so much space here. I have a lot of people saying to me their CV is 5 pages, and I tell them just move things around. I like this CV. You look here. Okay. Here's another CV. And we talked about figures. And in this particular company, you can see Chief Executive Officer, Chief Financial Officer. So it's stated here that that's what they were beforehand. Affiliations, awards, education, and training. And you see they've got the dates, which is very clean. I don't think you need to have your contact details on the top all the time, but obviously it's useful. Here's another one, Senior Financial Executive, CFO. And they've even got industry focus, entertainment, media, which helps. And you notice the figures? Lots of figures, numbers. No dates. Here's another one. I like this one. It's clean. Okay. And ultimately, you don't need a huge paragraph. Just 2 or 3 lines is fine. This is ATS compliant. And please, can I ask you, sometimes you can put a link, but obviously you've got to make sure that the link works. Another one, I like this, ATS compliant. Okay, as I'm going through this, if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Another one. And there's no harm in using a bit of color. I think the color really helps it stand out, but don't be too creative. Here's another one. This is a mechanical engineer. Yes, you can. These will be on the, Sanjana, I literally just took these from the internet. There is what I will do, I will put some websites that you can link up with that can actually do this for you, okay? Yes, I will share the websites for all of this. What I will do on the cover letters, I will put the websites that you can visit that can help you for to get your CV done. No problem at all, my pleasure. So ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to go through some select tips, and then I'd like just to open the floor to see if anyone has any questions or concerns. First of all, number one, keep it simple. Simple, simple, simple. Simple language, simple format, simple formatting, simple everything. You never know the level of language the person is going to read. And honestly, I've received a lot of CVs with some interesting words to express qualifications, and I didn't understand what they meant. It's qualifications, put qualifications. It's work experience, work or professional experience. Mention relevant facts. Update your CV regularly. Now, I say update your CV regularly. This is something I do every quarter, to be very honest with you, because I'm learning new things all the time. Keep your contact updated. Attach a covering letter. Drop in the occasional buzzword to appeal to the ATS is fine. Use concrete numbers. So the 5 numbers and 5 figures. In the UAE, apply on Sundays and not on Thursdays. Okay? Don't overuse team player or other collaborative descriptions. Remember, they're employing you, not the team. Using leadership-oriented words, which is good. Coordinated, managed. Not using personal pronouns, including key skills. So remember, 15 to 20, ladies and gentlemen. Apply in the first 4 days, and it's useful if you apply between 6 and 10. Okay. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I've finished a little bit earlier to see would anyone like me to go through or go past any section of the CVs that I've done. Does anyone have any questions regarding what I've covered today? Okay, Hafiza, is that okay? All right. I will share the QR code with you, absolutely. There's the QR code. Now, before you go, I would like you to complete a very short poll with me, but I am still here. I make it 7 minutes past 1. Would anyone like to ask me any questions regarding compiling their CV? I'm happy to answer them. If anyone has any questions. Right, I'm going to launch a very quick poll for you. I would appreciate if you can complete the poll. If there's any questions regarding remote interviews. Does anyone have any questions regarding remote interviews? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Yes, I will do the poll. Is the poll there? Can everyone see it? Okay, now, just a few things. I will be posting our slides. I will be posting the video on YouTube. And I will also be putting the CV cover letters along with the websites that can help you to do your CV. Let me know if there's anything else you need. Please, we are here to support you. All I would ask you to do is please can you follow us on social media? Every now and then I did an acing remote CV clinic last week because a lot of CVs are being conducted remotely. So I did that course and it was a brilliant course. Mariam, I will be posting the website where you can get all of these templates. Some of them are free, some of them you have to pay, but they are very, very good. And I think it's more about just getting an idea of how you can format your CV. That's the most important thing I think is for you guys to understand, okay? I am still here. If anyone has any questions, please let me know. I'm not going anywhere. If anyone wants me to go over anything, let me know. Melanie, thank you so much. Mohammed, thank you. Zafishan, thank you very much. I'm still here. I understand I have a few technical engineering gentlemen here. Do they have anything they have to ask me? The role of digital CV. Well, basically, what did you mean about the role? Can you give me an example? Okay. There is a website to check if your CV is ATS compliant. I will put the website there as well. You download your CV and it will tell you if you are ATS compliant. Okay? Thank you very much, Johan, Grishma. I just want to know the digital CV, the role of the digital CV is taking over now, basically. It's everywhere. And if it's digital, it just means you've got loads of links. A link can take you anywhere, but the problem some of my clients have had with digital CVs is that sometimes the links don't work. And when they update one part of it, then the other part doesn't actually get updated on the link. Mariam, just follow us on our social media and you will be updated. For those of you who are interested, I will bring up the latest courses that we do actually have running at the moment, which are all free, ladies and gentlemen. We have I'm just bringing it up now for you. Right, we have our resilience courses running at the moment. These are 88 dirhams for 2 hours. I'll just give you a little bit of information about those. We have MS PowerPoint in Arabic. We have MS Excel this afternoon, and we have Growth Mindset. For those of you interested in our other free courses, we have these running at the moment. So I did CV Clinic. We have innovation, coaching and mentoring, inspirational leadership, and managing personal finance. Ladies and gentlemen, these are all free. So if you want to know anything about this, let me know. So I am not a recruitment consultant. I help potential companies sometimes with finding out if I know anybody. What I do, I'm very often on a board, panel board, where I'm interviewing for C-level and above. So I do the very senior positions. And obviously I've got a few friends who I will do a few remote interview sessions with them, record this and give them feedback, okay? Our resilience courses are resilient and agilient. So the resilient courses. Mariam, if I can ask you just to put your email address in the chat box, one of my colleagues who are with me at the moment will send you all the information. Alternatively, if you just follow us on our social media and our website, we have all of those courses running at the moment. So we'd be happy to give you anything, any information with regards to that. We will be posting this particular recording on YouTube, so you can follow me as I go through that again. And also, if you visit the website for the downloadable cover letters, they will be there as well. And I will put also with that the websites. I will see for my team how you can, and I don't mind if you want to copy and paste my cover letters, ladies and gentlemen. I feel at the moment we have to give and we have to share, so if there's anything that I can be supportive for you, please let me know and reach out. Thank you very much. Yes, Hannah, you can get this. Today we have Man Eats Excel workshop happening today. I do believe one of my colleagues would like to show you a very short video of this, if you don't mind. I will just pass the host over to May, who will be able to show you a very short video. Ultimately, just a few things that I think we have to remember when doing CVs. If you are sending out CVs randomly just to anything and everything, you could be called for anything and everything. Tailor your CV to make sure that it is aligned with the role and the responsibilities outlined in the job posting. That then would be able to support you in making sure if you get a call from that potential employer, you know what it's about. The challenge that I find at the moment is I do get a lot of people asking for anything. Ladies and gentlemen, here's our short video on our Resilience course. May will be showing this video with you very quickly. Thank you very much.
How often do you use Microsoft Excel? Did you know Microsoft Excel has more than 500 keyboard shortcuts? Yes, more than 500. How many of them do you know? If you've answered none, don't worry. Select has the Microsoft Excel workshop. Companies all over the world require you to be proficient in Microsoft Excel. So, what can you do to improve the skill? Well, start rolling up your sleeves because Select brings you another Agilience course, and this time with Microsoft Excel. In this Agilience course, we will be looking at the filter function and going over the advanced settings. Not only that, but we will go over conditional formatting and advanced conditional formatting. There's a lot to cover, so you better keep up with the trainer. Count me in. Registration is simple. Hop onto our website by clicking the link below and it will take you straight to the registration page. You will find a variety of Agilience courses. Find the Microsoft Excel course and sign up. It's only 88 dirhams. That's almost the same price of a large pizza. So invest in your personal development and lay off the carbs. Don't forget to roll up those sleeves and click on the link below to register for the upcoming courses. See you in the workshop.
Okay, so that was May's course, and I hope the video explained a little bit about that. Ladies and gentlemen, I am here to answer any questions that you may have. Does anyone have any concerns about writing their CV? Is anyone worried about where they're actually starting and how they start the CV? I'm here to answer any questions. Fire away, please. Even in the chat box.
Hi, Natalie. I did my CV probably 6 years ago.
Okay.
I was leaving the Royal Navy. So you do like a 3-day transition thing where you go through CV writing, interview techniques. Now, in the last 6 years, obviously, I've changed my CV. I went initially to work for Merchant Navy, then I came out here working within construction. So over time, it's grown and grown. I've just looked now at my most recent one, and including experience and strengths, it's probably, I mean, it's disgustingly long. It's about 5 pages now, but 1 page of that is qualifications and then reference sort of scopes on the second part of that. So it's probably 4 pages.
Okay.
When I was doing the transition, they were saying the same as you, 2 pages tops. But what I can't figure is how to condense 27, 28 years into 2 pages.
All right, so Phil, you're not alone with this. This is a very common question I have. I've had people asking me from 10 pages down to however many pages, 2 pages. The first thing I would ask you to do is make sure you have a generic CV that contains all of your experience. Step number 1, okay? Step number 2, you will find that some of your experience over the years, I don't want to say becomes redundant, but it becomes irrelevant. It's not relevant anymore. When you are applying for a job, ultimately, if I'm not mistaken, you want to stay in the corporate world, right? The corporate business world. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm certainly not looking to go back into life at sea and sort of defence again, no.
Okay, right. So you need to identify which of those skill sets you gained from the Navy would be relevant. And it's kind of like a mapping exercise, Phil. So first of all, you need to think about the layout. And ultimately, if you were to look at a layout such as this, or even, there was one earlier, even this CV was actually 6 pages. And we condensed it down to 2 pages by going through the CV with a highlighter. We had 3 highlighters actually. We had yellow, green, and orange. Orange was no, yellow was maybe, green was yes. And we just went through it. After we'd gone through that activity about 3 or 4 times, we condensed those 6 pages down to 3. And then it was just a few playing around with the layout and the size of the font, and we managed to get it into 2. So you can do it, Phil. My only recommendation is to be brutal with yourself. What do you need? What do you don't need? Your must-haves and your irrelevant, not needed. And because you spent so much time in the Royal Navy, I'm assuming that you reached quite a very senior position. So all of the positions before then led you up to that top position. So to a certain degree, in order for you to have got to that position and be doing those tasks and have those skills and competencies, you would have had to have done a variety of other tasks leading up to being successful in those tasks. So the point is, be short, sharp, and brutal with yourself. Don't think, oh, I could have this could work, this does. No, just be very, very brutal with yourself and state, this is what I need, this is what I don't need. Does that make sense, Phil?
Yeah, I did try to sort of, almost ditched the first 12 years of the Navy, basically, and just said completed, internationally recognised apprenticeship, blah, 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 just to try and one-line it almost. But then I've been to interviews and people have been saying, oh, you need to explain this, or where's your, I can't think of the phrase. You've used the phrase in this brief, funny enough. Your skills you take from the Navy, you bring to civilian life. So I've had to sort of build it back up again almost.
Okay. Right. You do. It's a tough one, Phil, because your CV is there to get your foot in the door. Your interview is there for you to see whether you're a good fit and whether you're the right person for the right job. Okay? So maybe this is something we could talk about a little bit later on. Okay? I've just sent you a message.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
Okay. The difference between a CV and a resume. If you're from Britain, you'll call it CV. If you're from America, you'll probably call it resume. And if you're from Australia, you could call it either. A resume is basically a 1-pager. A CV is more condensed, but over 2 pages. And there's people saying that the resume is just a very quick snapshot. The CV really goes into your work experience, etc., etc. Okay. What do I advise fresh engineering graduates to highlight and add in their CV? Right. When you are applying, you need to identify that you're more than just a student. Did you participate in any student groups? Did you chair any meetings? Did you present anything? Where was your work experience? Where did you intern? Have you written any articles? Are you writing any blogs? Anything like that. If you are a fresh graduate or a fresh student looking into entering the workplace, you only have your academic background, so you need to, at least as much as you can, make that as interesting and come alive as much as possible. Okay? Does anyone have any questions? Any other questions that I'm here for? I'm here, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not going. Anyone got anything else they want to ask me? The cover letter should be 1 page. Okay, I'll just bring up the cover letter here. There we are. This is the cover letter. Cover letter from half a page to a full page, 250 to 400 words, 3 to 6 paragraphs. Okay. The difference between a CV and a resume. If you just give me a second, I will bring up that particular slide so you can get an idea of what it is. Okay. All right, let me just, yeah. All right, this is the difference between a CV and a resume. Okay, in short form. Ultimately, out here, they're very much used synonymously, and I know that really doesn't help you. Some people say, oh, have you got a resume? I automatically give them my CV and they take it. Some people say, have you got a CV? And I've known other people give them a resume. So look, it's more about what's on that document. Ultimately, people say to me, do I send a CV or resume? I say, what position are you applying for? What work experience do you have? And how have you put it back onto this form, this A4 paper? And does it make you come alive? And you know, ladies and gentlemen, this is the thing. If you see a CV, your CV needs to make that employer want to speak to you, want to get to know you more. If all of you are putting down is, I've done this, I do this, I've done this, I've done this, why would an employer want to ever meet you? Plus also, don't sell yourself short. ATS will not pick up your CV and shortlist it if it doesn't have those skills and competencies as identified in the job posting. Okay? That's very, very important, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still here. If anyone has any more questions, please, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. Can you share the site for upload? Yes. Okay. So what I will do on the cover letter, which will be downloadable from our website, and I will show you exactly where we will put it so you know where to find it. Okay? All right. So if you go to our website, and you will see, if you go to the e-learning and we select live, if you go down, you will see we've got these PowerPoint and they are downloadable. It will be here. Okay? Yes, so on that document, I will make sure you have the cover letters, the different templates, and also there will be a short section on the websites that you can put your CV in and it will check if it is ATS compliant or not. Okay? And there will also be a few other websites that have details about where to post your CV, what to, etc., the templates. All right? And you know, ladies and gentlemen, please, if you follow us, we are doing so many different things all the time. So, you know, don't miss out. And please, these downloadable shortcuts also, this is acing remote interviews. So if anyone is interested in this, you actually have some fantastic tips on a course that I did last week called Acing Remote Interviews, okay? And it goes through a lot of good things about what to consider, what not to consider, etc. Okay? So you've got things about common mistakes in CVs, what to prepare, tips, how to answer the questions, all right? So there's loads of useful information. And basically, we're just kind of trying to support the community. We know that this is not a good time at the moment. So if we can give to the community, we're more than happy. I know a lot of my friends have been out of work for 15, 20 years, and they're like, I have to do a CV. Like, don't worry, come on this course, watch the video, and you'll be fine, okay? Anyone got any other questions that they need to ask me? I'm here to answer anything you have or you need, okay?
Hi. How do you get the link of the course that you've just mentioned just now?
The Acing Remote Interviews?
Yes.
Okay. Rhonda, I did that course a couple of weeks ago. However,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I will talk to my team to see if it was recorded and possibly put it on to our YouTube channel.
Perfect. Thanks.
Just we've got our own YouTube channel and we put in so many different things, and this is because we're a training and development organization. We often put little tips and tricks on for people just to consider, oh, I must forget this, I must think about this, etc. Okay. So a question that's just come up, is it okay to alter your CV to match the job description so that okay, let's be careful with the word alter. I would say you can update your CV. So let's just say, let's imagine the job description or the posting of the job said something like, must be able to update and amend contracts. Okay, so if we take the word amend is change, alter, update, many different things. I would then, if I had change, I would put change to amend. That's what I would do. I would make sure that I'm not copying and pasting because the employers will know. Just update it a little bit. So align it. I think the word is align it to that. Also, be careful. Don't put something in your CV that you cannot then justify or explain in an interview. I've had this so many times. I remember I was interviewing one particular person and they said, oh, did I write that in my CV? I was like, oh, not good, not good, not good. Okay. Anyone got any other questions that they'd like to ask me? Anything regarding CV Clinic? You're most welcome. Gabby, you're most welcome. It's been a pleasure seeing you. So look, ladies and gentlemen, I do hope you enjoyed today. I hope you managed to get some good tips and tricks. Remember, I think that if you are able to align your CV with whatever experience you've got to that job posting, you're in with a better chance than if you just send out your CV randomly. Before COVID, I used to get about 150 to 200 CVs a week. Now I get about, last week I received 780 CVs, okay? And to be honest, when I see them, they're just very normal blanket CVs. It's just randomly sent out. And it wouldn't be difficult to find my name. So if you're sending me an email and you've actually addressed me by my name, I'm more likely going to read it as opposed to dear hiring manager. So there's also that you've got to think about. put in the effort to find out the name of the hiring manager. It pays off, it really does. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for me today. Thank you so much. Please follow us on social media and please post in some feedback on our social media about what you thought about today's course. I really hope you enjoyed it. I hope you walked away with lots of tips. If anyone has any more questions, anything else? Okay, that's it from me today. Have a safe day and good luck in finding employment. Bye.